नमस्कार, मैं अशोक व्यास। कार्यक्रम इनसाइट में अशोक व्यास में आज हम एक ऐसे विषय पर बात करने वाले हैं जो हम सबको कहीं ना कहीं चिंतित भी किए हुए है, व्यथित भी किए हुए है, और एक ऐसी समस्या जिसके समाधान की तरफ हम सबको मिलकर प्रयास करना आवश्यक है, उसकी तरफ ध्यान देना आवश्यक है। इसको हम समस्या कहें या क्या इसको नाम दें कि अगर आप अपने विशेष उत्सव पर भारतवर्ष में रामनवमी हो, हनुमान जयंती हो, शोभा यात्रा निकालते हुए अपने भक्ति भाव का सामूहिक रूप से उत्सवमय स्वरूप प्रकट कर रहे हों और सड़क पर चलते हुए आप पर पत्थरों की बौछार हो जाए। जहाँ फूल बरसाए जाने चाहिए वहाँ पत्थर क्यों आ जाते हैं? इसके पीछे क्या कारण है कि ऐसा एक स्थान पर नहीं, कई जगहों पर हुआ। ऐसा रामनवमी पर भी हुआ और उसके बाद हनुमान जयंती पर भी हुआ, और इसकी शुरुआत इस बरस विशेष करके राजस्थान के करौली स्थान से हुई बताई जा रही है। इस विषय को लेकर जहां हम बात कर रहे हैं स्टोन्स वर्सेस फ्लावर्स, डेस्टिनेशन हार्मनी, हमारा साथ इस बात को समझने के लिए और समाधान की तरफ जाने की यात्रा करने के लिए जुड़ रहे हैं गुरु दिलीप जी और डॉक्टर राकेश शर्मा जी। आप दोनों का स्वागत है। डॉक्टर साहब बहुत सक्रिय हैं, और विशेष करके जो हम यहाँ पर एक उत्सव दशहरे का मनाते हैं न्यूयॉर्क में, उसके भी आप एक प्रकार से सूत्रधार एक रूप में हैं। डॉक्टर राकेश शर्मा अपने व्यवसाय के अलावा भारतीय संस्कृति और धर्म के प्रति आप समर्पित हैं। गुरु दिलीप जी भारत से आने के साथ साथ यूनाइटेड नेशंस में और इंटरफेथ रिलेटेड बहुत सारे कार्यक्रमों में सक्रिय रूप से हिस्सा लेते हैं। शुरुआत डॉक्टर शर्मा साहब आपसे मैं करना चाहूँगा। एक तो भारत में इन दिनों जो अजान के साथ के लाउड स्पीकर वाली बात जो कई वर्षों से चल रही, पर इन दिनों वो कुछ अधिक उस तरफ ध्यान जा रहा है। आपको क्या लगता है, ये रामनवमी पर जो शोभा यात्राएं निकाली जा रही थी उनके साथ कई शहरों में जो उपद्रव हुए, उसके मूल में क्या कारण आप मानते हैं?
Thank you for the invitation, Mr. Vyas, and happy to be here. I had to go back into history if you give me 2 minutes. People think that this all started recently. It's not true at all. As we all understand, India was invaded by Muslim invaders sometime in 10th, 11th century. And as their number kept on increasing, we had a bigger Muslim population in India. And in fact, with intimidation, violence, Hindus and Sikhs converted into Islam. And going back to the history, these riots are not new. I was researching and found out in 14th century there were a lot of riots in Mangalore area because Mangalore or that part of India had a bigger Muslim population. And even in 14th century, they had riots. The biggest riot that you may see in British India was in late 19th century in 1896-97 in Calcutta. And then the most famous one was in 1923 in Nagpur, where Mahasabha decided to have a procession and they passed in front of a mosque. That's when Muslims attacked Mahasabha's Hindu procession. For 3 days, there were riots all over Nagpur. And this brings me to how RSS was formed. After 1923 riots in Nagpur, Dr. Hegward, who was actually an MBBS doctor, formed RSS. And since 1923 to 1927, there were at least 15 to 40 riots in India every year. And all the time, there were Muslims who would attack Hindu processions. And then we all know what happened when Jinnah called for Muslim League to take action in Bengal, and then in 1947. So these are not new things. Yes, this year it has happened again in New Delhi, in Rajasthan, in Andhra Pradesh, in Madhya Pradesh, and I'm sure at dozens of other places. Those smaller incidents do not make news because most of it was
So,
dominated by New Delhi and Madhya Pradesh Khargon.
right. So, Laksha, I'll come back to you and let me seek input from Guru Dilip ji, who works closely with people from all communities. So, Dilip ji, based on what you have read about the riots and disruption that happened with religious procession at several places, and let's first look at what happened during Ramanavami. And as Dr. Sharma pointed out, this was in Gujarat, this was in Paschim Bengal, Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, Karnataka, and having it at so many places makes you think, is there something common that is going on? And when you read statements from both communities, they say that when I say they, meaning those who were at mosque, they say that people who were in the procession, they had provocative slogans, and people who were in the procession, they said that without any provocation, or the stones were pelted on them. And at some places we have also seen visuals of people holding sword and all that. So your take, based on what you have read as well as what you have known about both religious beliefs and the way they observe their festivals. What is it that has caused such massive kind of ugly scenes, I would say?
Thank you, Ashok Vyas, to inviting me to part of this discussion. I had to say, Rakesh ji already explained some history. I was looking all the news about the past some months, and look at around the globe. Modi ji is getting popular because of his leadership, and some people think they had to do some issues in India. That is an easy way to do a fight between two religions, especially Muslim and Hindu fight. So that will collapse the economy and the social harmony. Seems like some hidden agenda is going on. And of course, sometimes even Hindus also provoke the situation. I'll say that is ignorant people. And sometimes we have to stand for our rights, because people will step on us like Aditi Deva Baba, we say that one. But when you do 24 hours, some people misuse that situation. So when you look at the starting part of the RSS, definitely we had to stand for our people. And I'll say even the number of conversion, it was too much in India. Maybe because of the caste system, people were suffering, they don't have enough to live for themselves, and or abusing lower class by the upper class. That's also create problems. There's a disharmony happened in the past, even in the Hindu communities. So other people came to India and invade and destroy the culture, and they utilize the situation to change, convert people from Hinduism to Islam or Christianity or any other religions. We see very clear. But I see when I go to, even in New York, when I go to other religious groups, sometimes they mistreat me. So they think all the Hindus are uneducated, they are worshipping devil. That's the way they treat us. So that has to be changed. So we try to make friendship with these people and educate them how we do things. So especially we promote yoga and Ayurveda and the natural way of lifestyle. And slowly people, new generation will get it.
Yeah.
It's a long way to go. to make them contrast.
Yeah, Guru Dilip ji, you brought two important points, and let me take one by one with Dr. Rakesh ji, as well as we'll pick the thread which he has referred to. But I think this is a significant point, Dr. Rakesh Sharma, when they want to go against Prime Minister Narendra Modi and portraying him as if he is representing only Hindus and the Hindu Nationalist Party, and not only some so-called liberal or left-leaning people, but other political parties also, and have openly said that the biggest threat to India is leadership of Prime Minister Modi, though he might have done wonders for them, might have helped them also. Now, if that is one aspect, do you think this is the key aspect in leading to triggering of such volatile situations in the current time?
Well, we all know that people who don't learn from the history, they are forgotten by history. We as Hindus have never learned anything from the history. I'll be very critical of Hindus. Before I blame others, I think I need to blame Hindus only. We are the oldest religion on this planet. And you can imagine, being the oldest, we hardly have one or two countries, if you really call Nepal and India as Hindu countries. But on the other hand, Christianity that came 2000 years ago perhaps has more than 100 countries. Islam that came only 1400 years ago has 56 or 57 countries. So there has to be something wrong with the way we have been thinking for the last 10,000 years. We may call ourselves peaceful and not invading any country, but this is the result that you get. This is a boxing match. You let the other people punch you left and right, and you don't punch them back. You will not even have one country to your name if this keeps on going. So I think what we need to do is examine ourselves. What went wrong? Are we going to follow Gandhian rule that somebody slaps you, offer them the second cheek? Or are we finally going to learn something that history is repeating again? As I said before, in 1923, this Nagpur riots happened exactly the way this is happening right now. I think our leaders, our scholars are to be blamed if we still cannot tell the Hindu population that you have lost half of your nation and now you cannot live in 1/5 of the nation or more than 1/5. Wake up now, or in another 100, 200 years, you will be like Parsis. You will be restricted to a couple of towns and you will leave the country.
So, Dr. Sharma, you brought an important possible way of looking and addressing the problem. And I'll just add to this, as I see, based on my observation and understanding, most of the Hindus feel, and I, as a citizen who have lived most part of my life in India, assume, accept, respect the functioning of law and order machinery and the way the civilized society is functioning. You are not there to take up arms or to have physical sort of way of dealing with anybody. You would let the system take care of it. That's the general approach with which mostly I have lived, and I kind of think that everyone lives like that. But now, is that to be questioned, Guru Dilip ji, as Dr. Rakesh ji pointed out? What it means is then you are talking about a kind of militancy, so to say, or what will you do in order to protect yourself? You will have to be prepared as the one of the Muslim leader, I am saying the younger Owaisi having given a kind of open threat to all Hindus, and then that was not considered as hate speech. But what he was saying was bringing down your level of looking at who you are from a subtle to a very gross and physical level, which is not acceptable to normal Hindu practitioners, as I understand. And there would be very few exceptions. But again, I will also add that we cannot have the idea that all others are not like this. So what I'm saying is there are many Muslims who also abide by law and kind of look at civilized society to be functioning where law takes its course. And I would consider that people who are pelting stone, they are kind of a fringe group and not the mainstream Muslims. And your take on both aspects, Guru Dilip ji?
I have so many Muslim friends, families. I grew up with them. There's no problem with them. Still, we don't have any problems. But I see, an example about Kerala. Kerala now around 3 districts, all controlled by Muslim practitioners, and police cannot do anything. Even we have over 30 MLAs from different bodies, and when come to the business, they make the deals. And you look the number of criminal rates in Kerala. It's a lot of people from the Islamic community selling drugs and female trafficking and child abuse, a lot of stuff there. And still I cannot just blame them. Other people are part of it. When money comes, all will come together. That's the way we see. But at one point I had to acknowledge that Dr. Rakesh, you said, because they are using the situation. They come there as invaders, they settle down there and just push all the Hindus and Buddhists out. That is not correct. So government has to do a ruling, a very strict ruling regarding this one. If, like example, when you go to Islamic countries, if you try to make a temple, they will oppose. Few countries will allow us. So we had to think about, I know Modi is going to make some other rules also going to come up. One thing I had to appreciate that the sound from the speakers, see, only they can use it, other people cannot use it. That is not correct. So good to stop all the sound after 10 o'clock in the night, like US. We cannot make any noise after 10 o'clock, 10 p.m. So those type of things, make it so one rule all over India for everybody should equally respected. I hope very soon Modi will bring that one. And
Absolutely. So how things move and how we can reach to harmony is also related to how law and order machinery operates and how the existing laws are enforced. And from that point of view, Dr. Sharma, recently what have happened in Madhya Pradesh, Khargone, government took the action of identifying those who were pelting stones or who were using violent tools to harm. And not only they identified these people, they also figured out some illegally constructed houses and buildings, and that action taken by government to destroy these illegally constructed buildings was also tied to people who were actively working in a violent fashion. This I'm referring to what happened during Ram Navami Shobha Yatra. So now that action of government is being criticized with very forceful voices from media, academics, journalists and politicians. And the Home Minister of Madhya Pradesh stands by his ground and justifying what action they did. Again, the question about legal procedure comes into play. Your take on the step taken by Madhya Pradesh government, and will this lead to more kind of uh, disturbing sort of environment because of the obvious reasons these people are now homeless or whatever they have, and they have their support, etc. So, another ripple effect which may lead to further disharmony or what? What do you think, Dr. Sharma?
Yes. To answer your first point, when you said should Hindus become militants, no one is telling them to become militant. But I'm opposed that if someone slaps you on one side of your cheek, offer them the second one. That's what I'm opposed to. And I don't favor violence, but at the same time, you look at US structure. IRS and cops, they are not violent. If you don't pay your tax, IRS comes after you. There's no violence there. If you are speeding on the highway, cops give you ticket, they can arrest you. There's no violence there. In India, you can break each and every rule anytime, and there is no punishment. If you have a punishment, you will see how people obey the law and how they start behaving properly. Our issue in India is that either nobody obeys the law or the punishment is very selective. If you know someone or if you are a powerful person, you are not being punished. As compared to Khargon incidents, where Home Minister of Madhya Pradesh broke few buildings of some powerful Muslims, but that's not the proper solution. If 1,000 people were throwing stones and you punish 5 powerful or rich people, 995 who don't have buildings, they will repeat the same thing again and again. They have nothing to lose. The issue is, are we going to punish people who break the law, or we just want to play politics? If the same thing had happened in United States, things would have been quite different. Yes, I don't want to say that United States is perfect. Of course, we have seen some riots in New York also last year, but India has beaten the record. We have no law and order. We have no punishment. Any politician can get on the stage and say whatever he or she wants. You can look at Mamta Banerjee. You can look at Owaisi. You can look at other Abdullahs. I mean, these guys say anything they want, and the leaders don't get arrested. Our BJP leaders should be very focused. Anyone who wants to cause communal riots or divide the nation should be put in jail, regardless of how powerful or how many followers they have. Once that starts, you will see India will become a nicer place to live.
So, continuing with what you said and the steps, of course, they were late, but what Home Minister of India, Amit Shah, having instructed Delhi police and resulting into arrest of 24 people in Delhi, Jahangir Puri area related riots, and newspapers also give details that there are 8 of them Hindus, 16 Muslims, and the names of few are also being booked under NSA, which is National Security Act, and there are names like Ansar, Salim, Imam Sheikh or Sonu Dilshad, and these kind of names are there. But this I was just mentioning in continuation with what you said. Probably government is hearing what you just raised, the concern. Still, we need a more proactive approach, and looks like they are not making proper use of the intelligence sources, because if there are people who are collecting stones or other arms, there should be a way whereby that information reaches the law and order machinery in advance. They should have some informers in place. That's one thought, Guru Dilip ji. But since we don't have a lot of time, the other side, which is not related to law and order machinery, but more related to social fabric. What is it that can be done at this point of time in order to inculcate a sense of mutual respect, which leads to a harmonious environment where people coexist with love and harmony? Guruji.
Now, I'll suggest good to have teachings in schools for interfaith harmony, and so children can learn different religious backgrounds and about different cultures. And I know Modi ji is bringing 3-year compulsory military training is coming up. It should be more than that, 5 years minimum, like Israel. So they will start learning discipline and respect. They had to go to all religious functions. And India is very hard to handle, I know that. Because the last 75 years, freedom we had, but still very pathetic to see. Still we cannot implement law and order in proper time. We don't have enough judges and other officials in the court. That is very pathetic. Government should take a priority to have enough judges in the country.
So, Dr. Sharma, this leads to a lot of branches which requires our attention. That includes how some state governments are funding madrasas or giving extra salaries to Maulvis, and there's nothing like that for the priests. So there are many areas where you don't see it as a secular nation because there is a clear-cut tilt towards one side or the other side. Now, the same question as I asked Guru Dilip ji, what steps community leaders or writers or common folks can take to have more harmony?
I will answer that question. Then after that, I just want to take 1 extra minute.
We just have 1 minute, actually, sorry.
Yes, okay. So in that case, what I want to tell you is, in English, there is something called better be late than never. Just like you said, Amit Shah is doing something. But in Hindi and Urdu, there is also one beautiful saying, which is a part of an Indian song. Sab kuch luta ke hosh mein aaye to kya kiya? Don't let the country be destroyed and then make some laws. It's almost 75 years. Wake up. I don't think you have another 75 years, whether it's Prime Minister Modi or Amit Shah or our scholars or other seculars. Enough is enough. You don't have another 75 years. Wake up.
Absolutely. So, Guru Dilip ji and Dr. Rakesh Sharma, I want to thank both of you for having this stimulating conversation. I just want to quickly mention that sometimes we feel that development-oriented activities will subside all these disruptions, but that doesn't happen. So we need to be focused on the other issues whereby with health, we have focus on maintaining harmony, because if you just have some improvement in the health system, but any disharmony may take away, and this violent behavior pattern is going to be harmful for not just economy and health and well-being, but it has far-reaching damaging impact potential. So we need to address and look at it from different points of view, where it is not one upmanship, but it is a collective way of moving towards harmony. Once again, we need more flowers and no stones. Thank you very much, Guru Dilip ji and Dr. Rakesh Sharma ji. And thanks to all of you for being a part of this conversation. This is Ashok Vyas. Namaste.